Yeah, baby. Yes, that's right. Look, I look quite low. Am I low, Paul? Am I low?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hold on. Yes, it is Thursday. It is 9. So, of course, that means it's UK Cowboys time. It's just me and Paul, and we're both sporting, as you can see, this year's very delicious draft hats. So make sure you go get yours, guys. They are, do you know?
I will say, I think it's one
on.
of the best draft hats they've done for
Yeah.
a wee while. Like it reminds me of the 90s
Yes.
style that they did. Like I think the one similar to what they did with this one is back in the 2013 draft.
Yeah.
Which I thought was like, I still have to this day. It's maybe a little bit worn out because I wear it. That's probably one of my favorite hats. But hey, I love it. I absolutely love it.
Yes, make sure, guys, you go get one of these very delicious hats. They are nice. I will say. And like you say, in recent history, the last year's was quite good too. The black with the Cowboys across. I like that.
I like that as well. Yeah.
I like this one. It seems to be like they went a little bit left field the last couple of years before that.
Yeah,
they kind of come back to simplicity.
See, I think that what I keep saying, like less is more effective. Like the more graphics you add in, the more distorted it can be. So I think it's more simplified. It stands out, and also like not just that as well. You have also get the inverted version of this as well, which all blue as well. I was tempted to go for that, but because I have the 2013 one, I wanted something the opposite for that, so I'm glad I went with this one.
Yeah, it's a lot better than the ones we had. Remember the ones that it was the nicknames of the teams. It was America's team.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. It was okay. Like it was simple, but it was cliche. It was very cliche. You know what I mean?
It looked like something like as if like they kind of, like when they were in the office and going, "Oh, draft hats, by the way," and like there's just something quick. That's what it felt like. It was like just do that. Chuck them together.
Well, like, because when you look at the Miami Dolphins and stuff like theirs was like fins up. You know what I mean? Like it didn't look very appealing to sell it as a draft hat. Like, so I think they've got it really spot on this year. So kudos to New Era and the NFL for getting that done this year. So yeah, looks great.
Yes, yeah. So we are now officially the merchandise podcast. So join us every week where we talk about a different piece of.
We want some. Send us those royalties, NFL.
Yeah, that ain't gonna happen.
No.
But yes, we're here to talk a little bit more draft. We spoke on Tuesday about one of Brian's weird games where it was just basically.
A weird game that I thoroughly enjoyed, despite the fact that I got absolutely triggered.
Yeah. We were getting trapped, mate. We were getting trapped.
Oh yeah. You know where Brian, he likes to stir up a ruckus.
Oh yes, of course. Yeah, he'll always do that. He even does it in the chat. So don't you worry, guys. That's a regular in the season, especially when Cowboys lose. I tend to stay out of that chat because it's just going to be Brian on a wind-up tease.
Yeah.
So
tend
to stay out the way of them. But today, sorry, I keep having to mute my phone. I got a bit of a bad chest. You probably hear it in my voice, especially on the audio. People will be like, "Why is his voice so weird?" I have a bad chest, so I do apologize. This is what happens when you have kids. They just bring everything home from school.
Oh dear. Yeah, that's not good. That's not good, man.
No, but
disgusting.
Certainly is. But
quite frankly, yeah.
But we'll talk a little bit about some day two guys because I've been getting a lot of day two questions, especially people asking on the scouting reports I do for the blog of the boys. They said stop doing these ones, so go a little deeper. We want some guys on some day two guys. So we'll talk about that today, but we'll also talk about the 30 visit guys because I always say, people always ask about the 30 visits, and you have to kind of take, I think, with the 30 visits, a little bit of pinch of salt, right? Not that...
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, like, because people are like, oh, I don't see Quentin Johnson get into them, and some of these other players that they're looking at. Fair enough. But what you got to look at is not so much the players they're bringing in, but what positions do they play and what type do they play at that position? And we're seeing and what's important, like when you look at the wide receivers, right, Paul? There's a lot of wide receivers on there. But what I do like, it's the range of wide receivers. It's all the way from Johnson, the tall, lanky, sort of athletic guy, all the way down to I know a guy. Well, I'll let you name the guy that you very particular.
Well, there's Jonathan Mingo from Ole Miss.
Oh, you like Jonathan Mingo as well? Yeah,
yeah. But I like Jonathan Mingo, yeah, but
Josh
Flowers. It's Josh Downs is there and Safe Flowers. That's the two wide receivers that I do particularly like.
Yeah,
and I think, but personally for me, like if Dallas to acquire any of those type of players, it would definitely open something that dynamic for this West Coast offense. I think.
Yeah, definitely, yeah, and I think that's what's important because when you look that they've had a lot of wide receivers. The different types of wide receivers, I think, is what's most telling. So that they're looking at because they've also had Jalen Hyatt in as well. Yep. So another tall, lanky guy who's going to run 9 routes and get deep on you. So I think that's quite important because what that tells you is that they're willing to look at a range of different types of player, even at a particular type of position, which tells you that in this instance, I think this means more than one wide receiver in this year's draft is being drafted. Simply because if they take the taller possession type wide receiver early, they're going to go and look later down the line at the later, smaller wide receivers, maybe like that. I don't know.
Like Mingo, for example.
Yeah. Or you know, like Trey Tucker from Cincinnati. These guys later down the line that they could look at, and because they're looking at both the tall and the short, I think they're not trying to pin themselves down to one type of receiver, but also that they want to have a range of wide receivers for, as you say, the West Coast offense. So I think that's it. That's the biggest tell for me is look at what the types of guys they're bringing in.
Yeah, and I think for especially within Cowboys Nation, is one thing we need to be very peculiar of is who are we drafting to fit this mold? It's like we need to bear that in mind. We're not going to pick a player just because he is the best player available, but he doesn't look as though he's going to be a fit for the West Coast offense. We need to bear that in mind. Like this, so this could be from an offensive lineman point of view, it could be a wide receiver, even tight end point of view. Like we don't even talk about like there's a really strong possibility we might draft tight end in the early rounds. So
I will say this, going off conversations that I've had with some of the guys, we never say who we're speaking to off. One of the reasons why these people talk to us because we never say who we speak to, but being told that tight end is being spoke about a lot amongst the coaches in Dallas. A lot.
I'm not surprised, but don't get me wrong. I am all for the Jake Ferguson train, but I do kind of like when you look at this tight end class this year, like quite a lot of them have a good complete package that they can block, they can catch, they can get good separation out there. I mean, there's not too many flaws with this tight end class. Like every one of them's each to their own, their different style, whatever. Not
yeah, of course.
But when you compare it to different years, like when you compare it to the year when Dalton Schultz was like drafted, or whatever, and that compared to these tight ends are coming in for that. These tight ends are going to be instant impact players. Even if you're going to be a second round or a third round player, they're going to go into any team in the NFL and they're going to contribute. So there's that difference of these types of guys, and even just the general physicality of these guys as well. Like when you look at like who's the guy from Notre Dame, Matthew Meyer?
Mike Meyer, yeah,
Michael Meyer, like the guy's an absolute beast. Like, and when you look at his video, he can block for a tight end, and that's been like the creme de la creme of Jason Witten back in the day. Like a tight end that can actually help pass protection and run block and help with the run game, and that's something that we've kind of lacked of in the past couple of years, especially. So, if we can get a tight end that can actually deliver all those attributes, fantastic.
Yeah, and a big point with Michael Meyer as well is I'll always say this is if you're a player from Notre Dame, we have a player on this team from Notre Dame. They're smart players. They know how to play the game. They're very smart, intelligent players.
Yep. And if anyone who doesn't know who we're talking about, it's Mr. Zach Martin, offensive line.
Yeah. Find out from him that, to play in Notre Dame, they have to sit a written exam.
So it's basically more of an assessment of it, like you're basically being vetted to make sure that they're making the right choice of bringing you in.
A smart person, basically, yeah. And I think he said that it's 37 questions, and the pass mark is 35.
So it must be a pretty hard test then if you're just.
And it's like one of these general knowledge sort of things, it's everything. It's not like a sport, but it's just and it's not just football players. It's all anyone who's coming to play on a sports.
It's all across the curriculum type of thing.
Yeah. It's like, here you go.
It's basically just to try and get trying to understand your base knowledge, pretty much. Really,
they don't want to waste. That school does not want to waste his time.
Yeah,
when they go out there with their gold helmets with gold dust sprinkled on them,
Yep. So DJ Dog here's in the house, and we see Joe's in the house. So, but DJ Dog's just mentioned academic requirements for Notre Dame are higher than normal college and university. It's in a way, it's kind of like Notre Dame is like the Harvard of sports universities. In a way, if you want to put it that way, like to get into Harvard, you need to be like the top 5% or whatever in the country.
Makes me wonder why Harvard isn't got a good football team. I mean, it's not bad.
Well, it's
okay.
It's a university is designed for like your lawyers, your doctors. It's its own speciality. Whereas other colleges are more sports orientated, etc. Like each to their own. But if you want to go, if you want to be a lawyer, best thing you want to do is go to Harvard. If you want to be a scientific genius or something like that, I think it's
MIT.
MIT, that's the one. Thank you, Mike. Yeah, so you get the point where I'm coming from. Sorry, just in case anyone's wondering there, Mike is having a mucus mycosis. He is having his wee coughing fits there. So
I'm absolutely hammering the cough button. So if you get gaps on the podcast, you know why. But yes, it is a crazy one. But continuing on with the 30 visits, there are some tight ends that are on the 30 visits, mind. Which is quite interesting.
Yeah, the one that really kind of stands out for me, and I've not done too much research on him, but from what I've saw on footage, is Brandon Willis from Oklahoma.
Braden Willis, Oklahoma, yeah.
Yep. And we've also got Payne Durham from Purdue.
He's good.
Yeah. Also, I think that was the only two.
They're the only two, but they did meet with some. I can bring that up for you in the combine.
Yeah, they are definitely like the way of the like a PFF and stuff like that kind of graded them. They're going to be very late rounders, like 6th and 7th round.
Yeah.
So,
but they did in the combine. They had a formal interview with Dalton Kincaid and with Shoemaker as well.
Kincaid, I would love to see.
I
would if we were to land Kincaid, like maybe not as our first round draft pick, but if we're forced to go down that route, then great, cool, whatever. But I'm not going to be mad at it because there's a lot of positions where certain best player availables are going to make an instant impact to our team this year. I keep going saying to this, it's like for how well it feels so weird to say this, that how well we've done in free agency. It feels as though we've got a good bit of freeway. Like obviously the biggest need still is left guard. That's still the biggest need for the Dallas Cowboys, regardless of whatever you see. Like if we pick up a now right receiver, cool, but we still need to draft a left guard some point in this draft, or trade for a left guard from another team. By whatever means, we still need to get someone, because obviously with Connor McGovern gone, he's off to Boston. We do have that little whole void in the offensive line, and I don't know about you, mate. I'm sick of shifting offensive linemen already established and moving the goalposts. I really like to get away from that and have an actual guy that's actually played the position. He's set in that position, like Zach Martin is at right guard, like Tyron Smith is at left tackle. Like I don't like him being on right tackle, but it's a lot of questions they kind of throw out there, you know.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a case of inside, and obviously when we're talking inside, when it comes to the line, we're talking left. When we're talking inside defense, we're talking one tech. So it's a mirror image, really, when you think about it, of each other for requirement. Obviously, on the back end of that, I think if you wanted to say what else is a requirement for the offense, is tight end is the second one, and cornerback on defense is the second one. So they're kind of the two places, and they're looking at cornerbacks. That's for sure. They definitely looked at them.
Yeah, not enough though.
I would say so.
Not
Emmanuel
enough.
Forbes, they've had in mind.
Yeah, he'll be gone by then though. But like, if we're talking about the second round and stuff like that, like, he's going to be going in the first, I think, potentially.
I don't know.
But who knows? Again, we saw players that we thought that should have been drafted in the second round fall into the fourth round. There should have been players that should have been in the first round get drafted in the third round. So anything could happen. Like all those, like say, who knows? Like Trenton Simpson, the Clemson linebacker, he might actually fall down for reasons unknown.
The only reason why I don't think Emmanuel Forbes is going in the first is his size. I mean, the guy is small, very lanky. I don't know if you've seen, but I've done Steve Avila come out this week, my scouting report. But before that was Emmanuel Forbes, and I was watching a lot of Emmanuel, and I'm trying to watch it, and you can see what he's going to be in the NFL. But the issue is it's just his size. His size is what's going to put people off wanting to draft him early.
But bear in mind, though, mate. Bear in mind, like every rookie coming out of college, they like they've got time to develop that muscle. People said that with Terrence Steele, undersized. Look at the size of him now. He's actually he's done the work. He's now really built up that frame now. Why can't we see that the exact same with like Steve Avila? Like honestly, like if we don't get Steve Avila, like man, I'll be frankly, I'll be absolutely gutted, obviously, but I think he would be the most logical choice. Like the way how things are going, if we're going for pure need with the best player available together, I don't mind us kind of reaching for a guard like Steve Avila. I don't mind that. Like we might even think about maybe trading back maybe 2 or 3 places, get an extra pick in the second or the third, and get Steve Avila that way as well, and pick up some really good players in that second and third. So either way, like I think, and as we can see in the comments, left guard is the number 1 priority, and I completely agree with everyone that's commenting right now. Completely agree. But yeah, but guys, let us know your comments. Like, yes, let us know. Like obviously we're the first round. We know what our biggest need is, but what players do you think in the second round do you think we should look at?
So I like, so going through it, Steve Avila, I mean, love, right? I've watched him. There's some aggressiveness he needs to slow down on to, what's the word I'm trying to look for? When I watched it, there's like this lunging that you get with him because he's trying to be the most aggressive guy. And I think that's easily coachable, where somebody just needs to take him and go, listen, you're an athletic guy. You are totally fine with what you are. You're a big, bulky guy. You're squatty, you get low, you get down.
Are you referring to Avila?
Yes.
Right, yeah.
And I think they just need somebody to grab hold of him and go, just slow it down. Honestly, you slow it down. Wait for the guy to come to you rather than you trying to attack it, and you'll be totally fine. His run blocking, no problems. Not much there to teach.
You need that aggression for the run blocking.
Hell yeah, yeah. And that's why he's so good at the run blocking, because the run blocking and the pass. So here it is, right, Paul? We both know. Pass blocking.
Well, Mike, I was going to say, like, I think the words you were looking for in general for Steve Avila is controlled aggression.
Yes. So you know yourself playing it. Run blocking, you want to get in there. You want to get your face and get forward and get aggressive. In pass blocking, you want to try and sit back. You want to try and let it come into, especially if you're playing zone blocking scheme, because it's an elegant dance, the zone blocking scheme. So what happens, I think, with Avila is he plays both types of block in the same way. So he wants to be the most aggressive guy on every snap.
Yeah, so here's the good thing. Now we've got a new offensive lineman coach that could actually probably help Avila with that. And him going into the situation, he's got Tyron Smith, he's got Zach Martin there to help him out in terms of helping up. So if we do get Avila, just saying hypothetically, we do draft Avila, doesn't matter if it's the first or second or whatever. If we do get him, he's going to be in good hands and he's going to develop and he will be a good unit. But he's going to change our run game 100% for sure.
And there's a big one. It's position versatility. Like he can play. Avila can play center. Avila can play center. He's also played. Yeah, I've watched him play snaps at right tackle, left guard, and right tackle.
I get that. I do like the fact he's versatile, but I would like to keep Avila isolated to the one position.
Yeah, of course. Like what you want with Tyler Smith. You want to stop him
exactly.
With bouncing, moving in and out all the time. Like, let's set it in stone, what you are, what it is, and stick to it.
It just creates less room for error and takes more responsibility on your craft as an offensive lineman in that certain position. Like, see, for example, right, my first 2 years, I played left tackle, and I was shifted into guard as my permanent spot. And for me to transition into that, it does mess up with you. Like, you have to think about the different, who's your inside gap assignment. You need to think about what's the strong side a lot more. You need to think about your A gap and your B gap more. Like, if you're in the left tackle, it's a lot more simpler. If you, how would I explain this? If you're playing left tackle, like, obviously you're the blind side for the quarterback primarily, right? So for me, when I was playing there, my quarterback back then was Neil Bapty, and he still plays to this day. Shout out to Neil Bapty, mate. So for me, it was my job to make sure that he was always protected in that. And the worst part of being, you need to be quick as a tackle. You need to be quick for the kick steps.
Yeah.
But whereas in guard, you just really do need to hold your ground. That's the biggest difference between those two positions. Even though you're still blocking, but there's two completely different dynamics with the left tackle and the guard and tackle position. So,
like you say, there's the kick step on the tackle, whereas the guard as well is it's small phone booth space.
Yeah, so you're starting off like that, but it becomes more of a bubble. And you're seeing the tackles dropping down a lot more quicker, whereas the guards are dropping ever so smaller, but the center kind of remains
small space.
It's the more smaller steps. So it just becomes they're creating more of a bubble when the pass protection hits.
Yeah, and it's quite interesting because there is as well another one, Antonio Maffei as well.
I like Maffei. I like Maffei as well. I do think he does kind of lack in the aggressive side, though. That's my thing. Like, I think he's more technically sound and more in pass protection, but in terms of he's like the slightly polar opposite of Avila a little bit, you know.
Yes. They've also there's a sneaky one. And you know what I'm like? I try and have as many guys on my board as possible. I don't like not knowing. And the Cowboys are brought in from the Rainbow Warriors, Hawaii. They have a guy with the last name of Manning coming in.
The offensive lineman from Hawaii.
Yeah, so I need to now go and check what he's all about because I don't like not knowing. But what is interesting, Paul, that they had Aiden O'Connell in quarterback, giving him a private workout, but now they brought in Clayton Tune. So I think we're looking at a day 3 quarterback in the mix as well. So that's going to be quite interesting to watch out for.
Yeah, well, Jerry did come out weeks prior to this, and they said they are intending drafting their quarterback. Where in the draft, we don't know. We know it's not going to be first and second rounds. It could be a third, could be a fourth, fifth, sixth, or seventh. We just don't know. It could be free agency. There's it could be not free agency. What do you call it? After the draft.
Undrafted free agent.
Yeah, we go. Yeah, we go. Yep. The word escaped from my mouth there, Mike. Thank you.
UDFAs, yeah. So the Cowboys as well, generally, they do quite well with the UDFA side of it all.
Yeah, they do.
They always seem to have the guys in the right places to run up those steps and knock on the door before everyone else. So we will talk about the quarterback side of it all. That's definitely something. The other position group, though, that I have noticed they seem to be striking on quite a bit is linebacker.
Yes, and one of them is the Marion Overshawn from Texas.
Overshawn.
Yes,
yeah,
that would be a good fit for the Cowboys. Not just because he's from Texas, but his style of play with a Dan Quinn defense. I think he would be a good fit.
The thing is it's quite funny because, like, obviously Overshawn's he was a sorry, hold on. I got messages coming in on Twitter at the same time. We get so first of all, before we carry on about Overshawn, thank you everybody for sending in. The Yukis are flying in the messages, but if you're doing it on Twitter, they won't come up on the screen. So I do apologize, guys. That's not us, that's Twitter.
Yeah, so either if you want to get your comments in, jump onto our Facebook or YouTube. The stream's still available there if you want to get your comments in. So, guys, we appreciate you. So, but we see you guys out there. We see Little Matt, Lebowski, DJ Dog. We see you there, Joe, and we see you, Adrian, as well.
Oh, you see the comments as well on Twitter and all the likes and hearts coming in. So, thank you very much, guys. But we can't bring them up on the screen. I do apologize. Anyway, Overshawn I do like. What is usually I find interesting is he's obviously an ex-safety that moved to linebacker, and
that's what I mean. It's that hybrid, like, and it seems to be the same type of mold. Like, what was it? Jalen Curse? No, Jalen Curse. Who was the other guy that we brought in the same year as Curse? Came from Atlanta.
I know who you're on about. He just got signed, and I just seen him.
Comments, help me up here, help me here. You know what I'm talking about. We signed him on free agency the same year as Jalen Curse.
Keanu
Neal. There we go.
Yeah.
there
See,
we go.
It was on the tip of my tongue. There we are.
Yeah.
Yes. So, I mean, like, these guys who were safety that moved to linebacker can sometimes, because a lot of coaches think that they're transitional, that it'll work, and it's not, because it's a different mindset sometimes. Oh, Lebowski, just getting in. Thank you very much. They think that it can just, but it's a mindset, because a linebacker and a safety, although they can be fairly similarly built, it's a different mindset. But Overshawn has shown that he can do that. He's done it well. And there's a little bit sometimes that I've seen on a few occasions where if you could just teach him that final little tweak, the final little niche to how it works, he could actually as well add a very decent part of pass rush to his game as well, because he's almost there with it. He's really, you can see it. And I think you've got that. You've got a complete linebacker that you can use and you can throw out there and be really effective on all three downs. And when you think about it, then you've got LV, Damone Clark. You could have this. I mean, there's another guy we'll speak about in a minute, but you throw in Overshawn in there as well, who's going to be a little bit more rotational. But you put him in there in that first year. I mean, you could be quite happy. You could feel confident by that linebacker core.
Yeah, I mean, in a way for the linebacker core, we just really need to increase the numbers on our linebackers. Really, we need more rotation, and we need to kind of give Parsons a break, like from time to time. And I think that, and I don't know what your thoughts are in comments, like guys in the comments. I don't know what your guys' thoughts are, but as much as I love Micah Parsons, I kind of felt as though him being too stubborn not to come off the field kind of shown out, like he was burning himself out in certain games. And we saw the slight decline in some performances. Like there'll be times where he was come off the field, then he would come on, then he would look good. But I just kind of feel like if you put him in there for too long, he's just going to burn out.
I think that he was overused. That's for sure.
Yeah, and he does have that dog mentality, which I do love. I love that about Parsons, and he's an absolute beast. But there comes to a time it's like, take a breather, like go out this series and come back for the next one. Let rotate someone else in, let you catch a breather, and we can get you back more up to a more better, like get your breath back, and you can go steam ahead again. Parsons was like, no, keep me in. So we need to bring a linebacker in to kind of help get rotation in and just basically ensure that our whole defense is intact and there's no one going to be bummed out and it's going to leave gaps open, essentially.
No, I like Dorian Williams.
No, I do prefer Dorian Williams.
Yeah,
without a doubt. I'm just saying, we're just kind of saying that it was actually quite a surprise to see Overshawn being one of those names that were brought up, and we do like him. But if you were to ask us who would we actually want to draft ahead, it would definitely be Williams, 100%.
Oh yeah. Williams is better all around. I think that with Overshawn, he will certainly over time, as he improves, he will be the better type of pass rushing linebacker that you'll have in the NFL, where Dorian Williams is just the better overall because he's good in tackling, run defense, can cover as well, which is really big in today's game, the linebacker. And yeah, I think they're very, very close. That's for sure. Are they very close? Actually, I might take that back. No, they're further apart than I'm thinking.
I've got a question off topic, right? Not off topic. It's still related to our list here, right? Of all the positions that I'm looking at right now, right? There's one position that we've actually interviewed, right? And a lot of people and I can see in the comments they're asking for this particular position if the opportunity presents itself. But there's only one player that we've looked at, and that is a running back.
Yeah.
And yep. And I
Zach
don't know
Evans.
Yep, Zach Evans, which I think would be a great addition for this type of West Coast offense as well. But I keep saying this, as much as how good Bijan Robinson is, I wouldn't draft him. I wouldn't do it. The reason why I wouldn't draft him, because in the pass protection situation, which is still part of being a running back, he gets pushed over so easily. And you can go and watch the film on him, like watch him in pass protection. It's not that great. But when you give him the ball, he is phenomenal. But we need him to be good in both things. Especially if you're paying a premium for a first round for potential 5 years on, you need him to be good as the last line of defense for your quarterback as well. So for that being said, I wouldn't draft Bijan because of that.
Yeah.
And also, would he really fit in this type of West Coast offense style? It's topsy-turvy.
The issue I have with the Bijan Robinson is that he is a fantastic talent.
Yes,
no
question about that.
Whoever gets him is going to be very happy. My issue is with the way the Cowboys' needs are and the way that everything goes on, is it ends up being an issue with it ends up becoming an issue of draft sequencing. And if you do a draft and you a mock draft and you draft running back first, you find that the rest of the draft you're kind of chasing after need as well as value, because you've taken that first running back first. Everything now drops down. All your needs and all your players all get pushed down around, and then you're constantly trying to chase after what it is you're after, and then you'll find that you're overreaching. You're kind of like taking players out of round. Whereas if you do it the way that your board is set and you don't deviate too much from that plan, you find that everything just clicks nicely into place as you're going along, and you get good value for the guys that you're after.
Yeah, I mean,
and it's weird how that works.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the other running backs that are potentially available, like you can get in the second and third round, like Gibbs, Carbonet, Arkane, McBride, Bigsby, even Taji Spears, another guy that people are like, I like Taji Spears, but he will be a later rounder. Like,
yeah,
but it's not a desperate need. But I still think it is something we do need to address because we don't know the condition of is Tony Pollard going to be 100% when he comes back, and who's our number two essentially. Like we need a good solid number two now that Zeke's gone. Like so.
Yeah, it's straight. It's a crazy one, and Lil Mac put a big one is second round defensive tackles.
Absolutely, 100%.
You got your guy. You got your guy.
I've got my guy, Siaka Ika from Baylor. That is my guy. That is like that. I love Ika a lot. Right, the guy reminds me a lot of Vita Vea from Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's the guy I think not just because of like his size, his stature, and stuff like that. It's the way he plays. It's the way he has that aggressive streak, hitting that A gap really, really effectively, and he gets nice and low out of his stance to really put the fire against those offensive linemen. So I'm all for it, and he's a good run stopper as well.
Yeah. So that's your guy. I've had a look at a 3-tech, Jacqueline Roy from LSU. So Meg that me. I did speak to her about old Jack Roy. I said, he's not a bad player. There is a possibility. There is, mind you, because of the off-field stuff that has happened, that Mazi Smith could fall that far, mind.
Potentially.
There's a potential of it. Like I know a lot of people talk of Keanu Benton. I think second round is a little bit rich for him in that particular place. But it's definitely 100%. I'm with Little Mac that it is a need. That's
100%. Yeah. Like, because when you think about, we've got Jonathan Hankins back for 1 year, but what we're going to do for the following year, we need to get someone in now to kind of like get him settled in and take us forward to the next step.
Yeah. I think they will definitely, because a lot of people in the chats, the UKs, are all talking about running back, and I
agree with Little Mac's comment. 4th round, I think would be the perfect spot for getting a running back in that's going to, and the way we're seeing things right now, especially when it comes to the pesky Eagles and also with the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl, they had like a running back by committee, like it was all on rotation. And when you look at their salary cap from the business point of view, it was all very low. I believe that like wasn't Kansas City like all their running backs were like under 2 million under the cap or something like that, like those 3 running backs. Like for that contract,
I think it's a little bit more, but it was very.
It was in that range anyway,
it was very little.
Yeah, so and the fact that like the idea of drafting another running back in the 1st round, it feels like deja vu all over again.
In answer to that question is
So what's the question just for our listeners and that? Like
DJ Dog's just asking what the off-field issues were for Mazi Smith. Is that he got arrested some time ago over to do with charges with a gun.
Oh God, that's not good.
Yeah, so it's a bit of an awkward one because we don't like to try to talk too negative about the big issues that are out there.
It will affect his draft stock substantially. Like if anything was to kind of tell when you get into trouble by any authorities, you can actually take Dak Prescott as an example. Like he was probably touted to be a 2nd rounder and fall down to the 4th. Luckily for us, we got him. And you can also sort of say about Jeremy Tunsil. First, it was going to be like the 1st overall, and he fell down to 18th or something like that.
Yeah. And I mean, like with Mazi, the big one that happened, like obviously he got arrested and all the rest, but Harbour and all the rest of them were like, look, he was very open, he was very honest, and he talked very openly about it on a chat. so that it wasn't like he was trying to hide what he did, which is a big one. So although you can say, as some scouts will do, they'll put the bracket of character concern, but I don't know if you can really, like, these things happen, you know, especially today, and we're not about to become the Second Amendment conversation here, because that will really kick things off here. So we're not going to do that. For one thing, we're not even Americans, so we're not qualified to talk about it. So don't worry.
Yeah, we're not qualified.
We'll stick to football. It was a couple of years ago, DJ Dog. So yeah, feel free to Google them. It's not a major. It wasn't made, but it's something that you wonder if that will make him. It'll make him tumble a little. You just have to wonder about that. Yeah. But the other interesting linebacker who is actually on the cards, and I think would be huge for the Cowboys, is
Simpson.
Yeah, Trenton Simpson from Clemson.
Yeah, if we were to land Simpson, that would be crazy.
Don't you worry, little Mac. There's never politics on this show.
Never.
We stick away from that. It's all about sports. But
if the Cowboys were to somehow, by pure miracle, were to get Trenton Simpson, then wow, that you could actually call it defense. Well, not maybe the defensive player of the year, but I would say defensive of the year potentially, with the Cowboys, if you would get Simpson into that mold. That would be scary, absolutely scary. And even, like, in fact, even if you add these two players, right, even if you add like Simpson and Ika to that defensive line front and the linebacker core, that is gonna make offenses shaking their boots. I'm telling you.
And look at this, right? That Micah Parsons, rapid guy, quick off the mark, right? Trent Simpson, right? You gotta like everything that he does, and again, like we were saying, in today's game, you need to be able to cover as well as a linebacker, and
it's an evolving game.
It's really good.
Yeah, it's an evolving game for linebackers. It's like you're asking a lot more of them now, and the pedestal is now much higher now. Like the bar is higher. Let me get my terminologies here right. I do apologize.
But I mean, like, the guy is just a tackling machine. He's got that tackling fuel. But tackling fuel. It's all about tackling fuel. But when you look at Micah Parsons, and we know he's a fast guy, he's quick, he's bursty. Trenton Simpson is 10-yard split, 155. Bear in mind the guy's nearly 240 pounds, right? His 40-yard speed, 443. Like, that's that is a fast linebacker core you got back there. And he still pumped out 25 reps on the bench as well, which is that's
for a linebacker. That's pretty good. Like, you would expect like a defensive line and offensive line to be in the 30s and stuff like that. Wide receivers like in the 10s and stuff like that, whatever. But for linebackers to get near close to 30 is actually really, really good. Yeah, that is it. Yeah. Cheers, Labarsky. We much appreciate that. I mean, who knows? Who knows? He might fall down. Like, we might have to reevaluate things. We might, like, if we were to go for Simpson, right, we might need to trade back up to get like Ivia, for example. Like, so who knows? Like, we might. I mean, this is the thing. I think this is what Brian was trying to do on Tuesday, was all these different case scenarios where certain players were available. Do you take the trade and fall back, or do you trade up, etc.? I think this is going to be one of the most interesting drafts we're going to have for a long time, because there's a lot of uncertainty. There's no guaranteed position that we're going for. And Benny, I wish you were here 10 minutes ago, because we were just literally just talking about Bijan. I will say I disagree to a certain extent, but
emotional damage.
I'm sorry, but that's just me. Reasons for, again, pass protection. That's why, pretty much.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I mean, like, it is awkward when you look at that. But it was an interesting comment as well, though, by Dog saying which two positions would you take, and he's saying linebacker. If you said, like, say linebacker in the terms of like if you said like a Trenton Simpson in the first and a Will McDonald the fourth in the second, I know he's a defensive end edge play, but you can tinker around with those little finite parts of it.
I guess
that I would agree with in that sort of way.
So what's the question? What question are you talking about for the first
two of
round?
the same, just throughout the NFL draft, for the Cowboys draft? What two players would you take of the same position? For me, defensive tackle.
Yeah, wait, so I'm still confused what the question is. Like, so first round, like obviously we primarily would find maybe left guard, but whatever two positions would be happy with.
So what position would you consider taking two players at?
Oh, right. And like they're doubling down on players.
Yes.
Right.
Cornerback could be another, for instance.
I get you now. Okay. Linebacker and defensive tackle. Yeah, easily.
Cornerback is
or doubling down in guard potentially. Like there's what's the guy from? Hold on, I actually had his name up not that long ago actually. But Xavier, a guard from Xavier, is it North Arizona or something like that? I can't remember his name. I can't remember what school, but his name's Xavier. He's a guard.
One moment. What is last name?
Zavala.
I don't have him on my board. That's interesting. Oh, you want about Chandler? No. That's NC State.
Is that who I'm talking about?
I've got the NC State guy, Chandler Zavala.
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, right. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, Zavala. Yeah.
Yeah. I have looked at him. He's a nice guy. He was transferred from a D2 school.
Thank you, Labarsky. Cheers.
But yeah, I mean, again, inside defensive tackle is one I would like to go to.
Yeah, I think primarily primarily if I was to double down, like if we can get like Ivia, then that definitely fills a void for sure. But I think we will probably need to bring someone in a much later round just for numbers, pretty much. I was the one that brought it up tonight.
But here's one for you though, where we're talking second round guys. I know we both like John Michael Schmidt and Cody Mack. Cody Mack's an interesting one though, because
I like Cody Mack.
He is good. He is good. The issue as well is always the same thing when I'm looking at FCS schools, is that you want to see that big bully, and he is. But sometimes
we saw good glimpses at the Senior Bowl though.
At the Senior Bowl, you did see him step it up, and he did. You know, you're asking him there to keep up with the big boys, and he did keep up with the big boys.
So that to me is a good clear indicator that he is more than capable of doing it. And if he was given the right, much more development and coaching, he could be an absolute beast. But but also I do like Schmitz as well. Either one of those
I prefer Schmidt, definitely. Mark just has this lazy.
No! Bring up the HA Dogs comment.
I can see it.
That is a good shout. If anyone didn't know about me last year, how big I was in Cole Strange, a guy that should have been a third rounder, ended up running the first round. To be honest, I was quite surprised about that myself because I did have him highly rated, but not as highly rated as a first round. But but who knows? Again, we just don't know what to expect with it. With the draft, it really is a lottery. Other teams have different needs and different thought processes. Like they might pick players that, what in the hell? That was a surprise. Like it could be like the New York Jets passing up on Warren Sapp all over again. Who knows? You know what I mean? Like it could be one of those scenarios.
This is a tough one. The draft is tonight. Who would you draft, Paul? Let's go first, because we're talking day 2, guys. I'm going to ask you who, and everyone at home as well, answer this question.
Yeah, guys, get your comments in. Like,
who would be your and make this sensible, all right? It's totally fine what you put, but make it sensible. Like, don't put like, you know, like don't put guys who are obviously not going to be available there at 26. But who would be your first and your second round pick? I'm going to add to that. Who would be your 2 guys? Now, this is a tricky one. So get answering, because it could be quite interesting how this all falls together. Now, for me, right, I'm going to say my second round pick is going to be Nathaniel Tank Dell.
Oh, the wide receiver from Houston.
Yeah, because although like maybe Josh Downs, maybe Jalen Hyatt could fall to you in the second, which I'm totally fine with. I would be fine with either of those in the second round, not in the first. There's massive reasons with both players why I wouldn't take them in the first. In the first round, I am going to go with whoever the top corner is, whether that's Joey Porter or Emmanuel Forbes. I'll take that.
For me, if he was to fall down to number 26, it's Khalid Kansey from Pittsburgh.
In the second?
No, in the first.
In the first?
If he was to fall down to 26.
I think he'd make it to 26 to you.
There's a strong possibility. I think he would be the best player available if that was the case in terms of need, for sure.
The size doesn't concern you?
No, not at all. Not at all.
So you're thinking that everyone's an outlier, and you're using him as an outlier.
Everyone's saying that. Everyone said that about Aaron Donald all those years. He was very undersized, and look what's happening. It really depends on the player. He's got the right attitude. He's got a good development at Pittsburgh there. So I would be quite happy with that. But more realistically speaking, if it was me, I would maybe even trade back a couple of places, get Steve Avila, and like in the second round, I would look into say Ika. I would look into potentially like Nathaniel Dell. I would even look into one of the tight ends potentially, like
Washington could be there in the second.
Yeah, Luke Musgrave or something like that.
Luke Musgrave could.
But also, if there's a really good linebacker there, like someone made it in the comments there, Jack Campbell, or what's his name, Dillian Hanley, or there's a really good bunch of names there, like in linebacker there, that can really make an impact in the second round. But I would still
possibly. I think it might be a reach. He's more of a third round guy. He's Noah Sewell.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, third round. Yeah. But honestly, I'd just be happy if it's a very logical choice. Like, what I'm saying is, obviously, best player available, but it also needs to be a position of need. Like, it needs to be a slight combination of both. Like, if this, like, say, for example, Kansey falls down, obviously, he's got more of a potential to be an absolute stud than Ivia at left guard is. Like, there's that precedence there. So that's where my kind of headset is. I'm not thinking about, just get that player just because. No, we need to think very logical here, like, for sure. Like, and I actually sound like an absolute like a Wish.com general manager right now. I really do.
No, I mean, it is interesting. Here's an interesting one, though, off Twitter, the conversation on Twitter. Thank you guys again. Ventrell Miller, is that not an interesting guy to take in day 3? And I would say, yes, I do like it. Straight line athlete, definitely compact, very good at anticipating the quarterback's moves. Like, sometimes I watch it and I'm like, did he did he just guess what he did there? Or is he actually that good at reading and anticipating? Because it's very clever what he can do. Lateral movement's good. Violent tackler, will dislodge the ball. You know, you've seen it a few times. I think, yeah, he could be an interesting move to go for. So thank you very much for that question off Twitter as well, by the way.
Who was it from Twitter?
I've come off this, or I've missed it now. The trouble with the comments on Twitter is they come up and then they drift off.
I see.
They fade away.
See, that's the problem with the Twitter format, folks. Like, so this is why we kind of recommend you to come on, like, say, YouTube or Facebook and watch it that way. So therefore, we can actually bring your comments on the show and display it and stuff like that. So.
Yes, and obviously, I mean, like, you know, because I'm bouncing around. But going back to your comment, though, Paul. So you're saying you would be willing to trade out of the second to get like Steve Avila and then work back from that?
Out the second? No.
Sorry, out the first. Sorry. So you would trade. You would trade into the second, out to the first.
No. I wouldn't say out the first. I still think we need that 5-year option contract.
The Cowboys do love their 5th year option.
Yes. So whether I'm just trying to look for the dance partners that we've got behind us right now. So there's the Bills, the Bengals, the Saints, the Schmeedles, and the Chiefs.
See, the only one that makes sense possibly
is probably the
Bengals. I say.
No, I would say I would maybe even say New Orleans.
New Orleans need to try.
They have a lot of
over. Yeah, try and make them skip over what could be the potential from what the Bills go for.
Exactly.
Because the similar needs for that roster.
And I would be happy with that. And at that time, if likes of Currency's not there, then automatically I'm thinking Steve Avila, get him now before it's too late. Because I don't think he'll be there at 58 in the second round. There's no chance. He'll be way gone before that. I reckon he'll be gone early second round at best.
See, now my thing is I'm happy to let the board fall to me on the first, right? I'm just going to take whatever falls. When the board gets me at the first, then I'm going to evaluate and take it there. But when I watch what happens in the second round, whenever you do these mocks and whenever you look at the talent that's left available, I think you have to trade up in the second to go get what you need. Which
I agree. So our good friend Mario, who did the Talking Cowboys podcast, he did a mock draft today, right? So he traded our first round and our third round for a first and a second round. So you're actually back into the second round and you're only moving a couple. That to me is a good switch up, I think. I think that could be a good potential, when you look at the other teams. So whether it's the Bills, the Bengals, New Orleans, even the Eagles, which Labasse's probably have actually had good dealings with the Eagles.
It's true.
Like if it wasn't for the Eagles, we never really might have got Micah Parsons.
Yeah, no, that's totally correct. Yeah.
So hold on, let me just actually see if I can actually bring up that tweet actually, of the mock draft that Mario did. Let me see here. So Mario did. So he did the trade with the Cincinnati Bengals. So our first round and our first round number 26 and our third round at number 90. In return, we got pick number 28 in the first, and round in the second round we got pick number 60. That to me is I would really take that offer. All things considered.
I would definitely take that, and then I'm using my second round and my extra pick to move up in the second to get something higher up in the second round. Depending on what you take the first, you flip the other way around on
it really does depend. So again, we're thinking about all these different scenarios, right? And see, this is the beauty about the NFL draft. Like it's like a endless tree of scenarios. It's just constantly growing. Right, so
when you're picking this far down in a draft, you know, like when we done the years past, like one of the first ones, and we were picking like in the top 10, it's very easy to try and sort of figure out where you're going to go and what's going to fall. You can figure the rest out. But when you're this far down, because there's so many options, and you get these pool of players that are not just available to you, but there's also, you know, like those surprise players the Cowboys have had. We had a comment about, you know, CD Lamb being out. The CD Lamb was not a 30 visit. We never spoke to him. We didn't interview him. We barely looked at him in combine because the mentality was he's not going to be there. So why bother?
Yeah. Well, do you want to read out the actual the picks they did? And you're going to be amazed of who you got in that second round.
Go on then. Well, who did you get? Who's the second round pick?
Right, for the two second rounders at pick number 58 and pick number 60, Steve Ivia and Saiki Aika.
See, so Steve can fold to you.
It could, but I don't. And I think in realistic terms, I don't think he will, because there is other teams will need a guard at some point before that. So, but look, so I'll read out his full draft. Like I'm sure there could have been someone else in the first round, but as much as I love this player, but I just don't think we should be looking at a position. But so the first round, he went with Safe Flowers, and obviously then he did that was with pick number 28. So obviously we did the trade before that, and we got the extra second round pick.
Okay, because then right, you think about it, that really that one pick is Zay Flowers and Steve Avila, so you can come away from that feeling really good. I know it's not great that you've got Steve Avila as your first pick, but when you put the two picks together, you go, all right, but I agree that Little Mac agrees as well. Avila is not going to be there. You're going to have to
be there. In reality, I think if we're really desperate to get Steve Avila, and he's like maybe like 10 places away, I think we will need to make a phone call to trade up for something.
You would use those two first round picks, corral them together, and you go up. Think, second round, guys.
You're getting everyone confused tonight.
I'm getting excited. But what you do is you take pick 60, pick 58. You use those two picks in a trade to go higher up in the second round. Yeah. Then you get Avila because he's going to go by pick 50.
Right. So let me read out the rest of what Mario's done. So wide receiver, Safe Flowers in the first, second round, pick 58, Steve Avila, second round, pick 60, Saiki Aika. Yeah. Beautiful second round. Fourth round, Ivan Pace Jr., linebacker from Cincinnati.
I like that.
I like that.
Yeah. That's your linebacker position as well. See.
Yep. Fifth round, Corey Trice from Purdue, cornerback.
Okay.
Yeah, that as well.
Fill in a need.
Yep. Sixth round, Anthony Johnson Jr. from Iowa State, the safety. Right. So it's just more of a rotation thing. Yeah. And when you said, what was the position you said you would double down? Linebacker?
Yeah. Or defensive tackle.
Well, round number 7, 244, Troy Brown from Mississippi.
Okay.
And he got an overall grade of an A for that draft.
Interesting. But guys, be sure to go and check out our good friend Mario. It's just _STX Mario on Twitter. Like he does the talking Cowboys, talking with the Cowboys fans pretty much. So go and check him out. And yes, so that's some day 2 guys. Next week we've got a special guest with us, and we'll talk even deeper. We're going to go even deeper onto the day 3 guys. So that should be a lot of fun. Baby. Paul, hit me with it, baby.
Yes, guys, if you're planning on to a Dallas Cowboys game this season, be sure to go check out cowboysexperience.com for meet and greets, game tickets, stadium tours, and tailgating experiences, and much, much more.
Keep going, man.
You all right there?
Yeah, keep going.
Yeah, guys. So, and also be sure to go and follow our fellow content creators, like from the official DallasCowboys.com channels with like the Talking Cowboys, Hanging with the Boys, The Break. You've also got the Draft Show with likes of Brian Broaddus on there as well. Blogging the Boys, where you can find myself and Meg Murray on, as we mentioned, like so J Talk before in previous shows, Big Game James, Skywalker Steel, Cowboys Camp, and our good friends from Canada, and Fort Lombardi. Be sure to go and check every one of those guys out.
And obviously, make sure to go on our social media. Check the travel package, because we are all coming out to America next year for Thanksgiving. So that's going to be a lot of fun.
It's going to be awesome. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think this is going to be like, I mean, I think how many people have we got signed up so far? They've actually put, I think it was like at least 10 people are coming.
Oh, no, there's more. I think in total there's about 16 of us.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying, at least. Yeah. So
there's a few others as well that are going out who aren't signed into, which is fine, but we still want people to come and join us.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. There will be some guys from here in the UK Cowboys community just may want to do their own thing, which is cool. But even still, we're all going to be together. It's going to be an international takeover. We're actually been talking to our friends from Cowboys Can Fan. They're planning. They're coming. They're coming over as well, and obviously we've had our connections with DallasCowboys.com, and they are like the idea of this international takeover. So there might be something in the woodwork coming on ahead with that.
And you might even see a few faces on their shows over in Frisco.
Yeah. What's that?
I said if all goes to plan.
Oh.
Yeah. So we'll talk more about that once we get a little bit closer to Thanksgiving. But you guys are the MVPs of the show, as we always say every week. And you guys are the Ukis. Without it, the show is nothing. So make sure you have a lovely Easter out there, guys. Have a great weekend. We'll see you on the other side on Tuesday when we'll be back. We'll talk some more prospects on the prospect project. But stay safe, and as always, he always has the last word on the show.
Dallas forever, Philly forever, folks.